This is Footy Prime, the podcast. We've got James Sharman here. We've got Dan Wong. We've got JC. And we also have two very special guests. So we're welcoming two women's national team players who may or may not have their notifications still on. But I'm going to blame Footy Prime for that.
And Jim Dimon.
Yeah, and Jimmy's not even here. And Olympic gold medalist of Footy Prime and Evelyne Viens and Gabby Carle. So Evelyne capped 35 times for country, was named forward of the season in Serie Femminile, that's my best Italian, and was its leading scorer with 13 goals, helping Roma complete a league and cup double. And then having recently just hit the 50 cap milestone for Canada, Gabby plays her club football for the Washington Spirit and has established herself as one of the best fullbacks in the NWSL. So thank you so much for making time to speak with us as you settle back into your clubs post an unimaginably difficult Olympics. So we'll get right stuck in, but how are you guys doing?
Yeah, you want to start?
I'll launch into like the questions of like really getting into the nitty gritty of it, but just today, how are you doing?
I think I'm good. I think it's been like a roller coaster and overall good. Back in season, quite not ready for it, but gotta do it. So yeah, I just need maybe 1 or 2 more weeks.
Yeah, today I'm good. And I leave it at that.
Yeah, so we'll get into it. I mean, basically that's what we're here to chat. And again, we really appreciate you guys. You've been candid so far and really transparent, really honest with Christine Roger, notably of Radio Canada, who was on the ground with you guys in France. But before we launch into Dronegate and everything around that, just I want to get a sense of the feeling in the team, really. So you guys had come off, Evelyne, a disappointing Women's World Cup, and then hit the ground running, won 2 critical matchups against Jamaica, and we're on a pretty strong upward trajectory, I think, within the team in terms of performances, women's, the Gold Cup, and then She Believes, and even your preparatory matches. So what was the vibe like of the team as you got into camp in Spain and were just seeking to defend your gold medal?
I think Gabby had been in the team for longer, but for me, it was the first time I feel like this team was so united. I think I felt it at the Olympic when we won gold in Tokyo, but I think this team was different in a way of we were coming back such of a bad World Cup, and we just fought for each other this whole tournament and feel like everyone was just themselves and accepted and wanted the best for our teammates. So it was pretty unique, even with everything that happened. I never felt so in this team and fighting for each other.
And Gabby, if you want to weigh in on that too, I was going to ask you, like, you've not only been candid in those interviews with Vanessa and Evelyne, but penning articles regularly with RDS, where you've been really open and honest about your own personal experience. And you penned one just after being named an alternate for your 3rd consecutive Olympics, despite being in really great form for the Washington Spirit. So what was your individual mindset going into this tournament?
Yeah, I think being named an alternate for the 3rd time was a tough blow for me. I think it was a decision that I did not understand, but at the end of the day, it wasn't my decision to make. So going into that tournament, I knew that the situation was a bit, there was a chance that it could change, basically. So for me, it was about how I could stay ready. But it is something that's hard when it's been, I don't know, like 10 days you're in the camp and it just doesn't feel like it's going to change. And you're trying to stay ready, but so it was a tough time. But in terms of the vibes around the team, as Evelyne said, I truly agree that it was really nice. I think a good measure of if a team is doing good is that the people want to hang out even off the field. And I think a lot of that, we were just playing games and just hanging out, and it was hanging out on off days too. It was a good time, and I think that's also what carried us when everything went rogue. I think that's what helped us a lot too, is how united we were to begin with.
Where were you when you first heard that there might be an issue leading up to this controversy?
We got called into a meeting. I don't recall. I think it was 2 days before the game. 2 or 3 days before the game, and it just got brought up to us in that meeting room that we spent way too much time in Saint Etienne there, and saying that. I mean, at this point, we didn't know which way, and who was going to know which media. Like, if it was going to get out, it went out for sure. But everything. So I think at this point, it was just like, hey, that's a situation. We're going to be transparent with you. But after that, it just. Some stuff were just coming way too fast, and that we didn't have time to have a meeting. We just saw it on social media, so it was pretty fast. Everything went down.
I think initially the main thing was Joey was in jail.
Right.
I think that first meeting was mostly about that. I think people were worried about him. Obviously, there was the piece where they're like, it might get out, so be prepared. But mostly we're worried about Joey. We hope he's okay. So that the initial meeting was just a shock because at that point, I think Joey had been in jail for 2 days or at least a full day. And it was, yeah.
And a lot of the news here were immediately there was like an attempt to distance the Canadian camp from Joey, to say that he was an unaccredited staff member. And then I don't know him very well. I've only met him a number of times, but I have a lot of friends who know him well and only have good things to say about him. They speak really highly of him as a human. So how did you guys reconcile that? Like the knowledge that somebody that you knew and cared about had done something wrong, but were you worried about the human, and did somebody go see him? And then how did you guys stay in your own bubble as players in order to prepare for New Zealand?
I think it's hard to answer because, I mean, some people got coached by Joey growing up, and to this, like, he's a good guy. He has great values, but I mean, this decision was not right. And that's just a fact. But I think many people got coached by him for a year. So I think a lot of people from Ontario really maybe struggle differently than others because knew him personally growing up, and it was a great role model for them. And I think the bubble that we want to keep intact in the Olympic, it's quite impossible at this point. Your phone is, people text you that haven't texted you in months and want to know the story, or some people just support you, and Instagram is just, it's the worst place to go. And after Facebook, you never know what you're going to see there. So I think the bubble was not even there anymore. But I think as a team, we came back together and decided, like, I think everyone's reaction was different. Some people need to joke about it in a, like, it's their way of dealing with stuff like that. Some people are crying. So I think everyone just expressed themselves. And
yeah, humor is a coping mechanism. I know all about that. So I'm sure there's yes.
That's me. That was me. But
I cry. I'm a big cry guy, just so you guys know.
Gabby, was Bev though at this point front and center? Was she having these meetings, having the conversations, or was she more in the background at this point?
She was completely front and center. She's the one that broke the news to us that Joey was in jail. She told us she was going to take all responsibility. I mean, you want candid, in my opinion. She didn't. I think she kind of went around, and I don't think that was okay. At the end of the day, whatever happened to her happened. But yeah, it was, I think initially we just thought, okay, this is being handled. We have our coaches are dealing with this. Our head coach is dealing with this. It's under control. And then the very next day, we see the press release and we realize, accountability is not being taken. And then, I mean, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
Was that the point where the sorry?
Oh no, go ahead, Sharms.
Oh no, was that the point though when the leadership group within the team really came to the forefront and said, let's do this regardless of what's happening and all the noise? I mean, that must be obviously a massive distraction, and without a strong leadership group, this team could have crumbled. And then you hear about the point deduction, and it's like, I mean, explain that, the emotions at that point.
Yeah, I think we're really lucky that our team had such a great leadership group, also such a group that already had so much experience. and people that had been in weird situations like these ones before. This was definitely our worst crisis, but we had been in crisis before. So I think we were handling it well, and we knew that we could do this without a head coach or with the staff that remained, which were so great, by the way. I think we were so lucky to have them. But what the worst part was obviously when they called us back into the meeting room to tell us that they had taken 6 points away from us. And all of a sudden, your path just becomes so uncertain. You have to play the next day against the number 2 team in the world that is also the host at the Olympics. And you just, I think for a few hours there, all of us were a bit at a loss. But then I think that's the power of this team is once we realized we had a chance to still go through if we won all our games, we kind of regrouped and we decided that we were going to do this together.
I want to go back to that moment. So you guys have won your opening match against New Zealand with all of that noise, all of that distraction. Evelyne, I don't want it to get lost that you scored an absolutely sick goal. I think a goal of a certain quality that I don't think anybody else on that roster could have scored. So just the two of you personally, because Gabby, you also started that match. So with Bev taking herself off the sideline and then being suspended and sent home, I don't mean to say that there'd be vindication on both of your parts, but you were two players who were continually not rated under her era. So was it tough to navigate that personally, or did it just feel like the shackles were off and you were able to express yourself the way that you always could have if you'd been given kind of the opportunity to do so?
I would go with the second part you just said. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I think in a way of like I was going to fail, and I know I play better when I'm like angry at stuff, and this whole frustration really frustrated me a lot for a different reason that I don't think we have time in this podcast to explain, but I was still frustrated when I got in for how the situation was handled and everything. And I think Andy just told me like, go do what you can do. Like sometimes I get some indication to work on my defense a lot and stuff, but he never mentioned that, just said, go do your stuff and you will score. Like he was not wondering about all my little questions. It was just like, go do it. So I think for me it was a little a relief in this way that the coach saw my positive aspect on the field. And I think this tournament I proved some stuff that I was good enough to play at this level, and I believe in me now. So yeah.
Yeah, this is a tough question for me to answer, just because of how much there is there for me, how hard it's been for me. I think I had to learn to see my own value because I didn't necessarily feel valued no matter what I did. And I think I got good at that, but then once I was on that field and she was gone, I just realized just how much of an impact she had on me. It felt like I was always second guessing my decisions. I was always, just because no matter if I messed one thing up, I knew this was going to be brought up and I knew it was going to be held against me. There was just so many, during these Olympics was the first time I felt like I can just go out there and be myself. It's one thing for someone to tell me that, but then to not show me that they truly believe that. But then I think Andy and me, I just realized like, okay, I truly can go out there and I can be myself. I'm allowed to make mistakes, but I get to go out there and try my best. And it felt liberating. It was very freeing. And honestly, I never want to feel the way I've felt for the past 3 years ever again, because it was a really tough time for me.
Yeah, I can only imagine that, because I think at the foundation of all of this, not only just that player-coach relationship, but it's trust, right? And like it was the ultimate betrayal. I think, Wanger, you were going to get into that after, but it was a breach of that relationship. So how did you rebuild that with such a quick turnover between matches and put your trust fully in Spence and the other staff members that were there to support you?
I think we've known Andy for a long time already, and he's the kind of person that is just very positive, and I think we always knew his potential, but then like him being in charge, I just could tell. It was simple, but it was, hey, I trust you. Go do what you can do, and we'll go from there. But I have full trust in you guys. That's how I saw it, and that's really all we needed.
Did you feel the same about that, Evelyne, with Andy Spence and the other staff members that was there? Who is it again who is providing like the psychological support? Is it
It was
Mariah?
I think she stepped in that moment. I personally didn't work with her 1v1, but I think for the team she was there. I think Andy was just simple and calm. Like if you watch the bench was really calm, really organized. When we were going in, we knew what to do. I think it was just a big shift in that way for me, like just being a finisher, just knowing that they trust me, and like I didn't have 25 indication. I know football. I've been playing my whole life, and he was just positive and telling us just small indication. And I think even at halftime, it was 1 or 2 stuff to correct. And yeah, I don't think he overcomplicated the game, and the team, I think, loved playing for each other, but loved playing for those big moments. And yeah, we had adversity. So what? We're Canadian national team. That's the team that would do it. And even when I talked to my Italian teammates, I'm like, I don't think you can understand how it felt to play for that team. It's just, we truly believe in everything we can achieve. And they're like, oh yeah, but you didn't play your best game this game. And I'm like, no, but we truly believe we can win every game, and we're going to find a way. So I think that's what is the distinction with the rest of the world for the Canadian national team, in my opinion.
Is it still relatively raw and new for, let's say, Gabby? Is it still new?
I think so. And at the same time, it's old.
Yeah.
I've spoken about it so much, and yet I don't feel like I fully processed it. Yeah, there was just, it's just insane to think about what we went through. It is crazy to think about how we were in that room in Saint Etienne. We had lost 6 points, and then the next day we turned around and we beat France at home. And just,
it's amazing.
The emotions we went through just in that 24-hour period, insane. That's the best word I can put there. But yeah.
Well, I mean, the goal celebrations were incredible, right? I mean, I love the emotion. That was so much more than just scoring goals.
Yes.
Right? There's so much more to it. Like, I think everyone back home in Canada understood that, like, wow, look at this. That's passion.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was on top of what you had already gone through, right? It was all that, it was a 6 points. So like, walk us through, Evelyne, maybe those 24 hours. So you're almost like reliving that raw kind of betrayal that has just happened. And now FIFA, in an unprecedented harsh penalty, docks you 6 points. So you're at -3 in the group. Like, what were you guys doing at that point? What are you saying to one another after you'd absorbed it somewhat?
I think the first reaction was that, like, we were surprised. We were kind of shocked and everything, crying, but we were like, we didn't think we still have a chance to go through, and we were like, sorry, but what's the point to play if we have no chance to go through? Like, we haven't slept, we haven't ate, the injuries risk is so high, and the thing is FIFA, but they want us to play, so they sell those tickets. The Olympic goes through, the tournament goes through, because if Colombia and France don't play those last 2 games, they have a big advantage for the future, just resting for an Olympic. And after we had Jesse, just thinking we can still go through, and after the mindset kind of switch. And I think for me, even if she said that, I went back to my room, cried so much. And I was roommate with Vanessa at this point, and she came back and she already cried for 30 minutes before, so she was just laughing at me. So I was just talking and she was laughing. So, and I think after the whole team needed to like sleep I never slept that much before a game, just catching up and some sleep. And I think 5 o'clock hit, and we got this video before the game that just rallied us. And after, at the end of the day, we needed to win. And I think we were down 1-0 at halftime, and just Jesse's goal just kind of changed the momentum, and we knew it was coming, but didn't expect to come from our center back with her left foot first post. That's like everything I would never have put money on. But
And did you tell her to cool it with the goal scoring? You're like, that's my job.
No, but I look at her, I said, I was open, but that's, I said, I would never have done a first post left foot. But she said, yeah, that's what I saw. I said, that's only a center back can see that, because nobody would have ever put it like that.
Are you guys both worried as gold medalists in Tokyo and Gabby bronze before that in Rio? Are you worried or fearful that these past performances might be tarnished if it's proven that this is a practice that was rampant in the program?
I think for me it's hard to answer that, because I really hope, I'm trying to find a good word. I just hope all those years that the women's soccer in Canada have been doing great, I just hope it doesn't get pushed by that. And I haven't been in this program for that long, but for like, if I talk about gold medal in Tokyo, I don't know how they could have done it, because living in COVID, being locked in our room, at this point I was with Gabby in my room and it was locked down. We couldn't go eat breakfast without having someone in the elevator with us. I'm not trying to defend us at the Olympic in Tokyo, but I just couldn't see that happening. And I really hope for all the vets, for everyone, that from what they find, our reputation is not damaged, but something, because for all the work, the player have just been going through so much and just work for the country. So I really hope the whole world doesn't think we're cheater, because we're not. We're just hard worker that we don't play for the money. We don't play for that. We just play for our badge and representing our country and making people proud. So I just really hope that people of the world don't think we're a cheater. And yeah.
I think overwhelmingly, you guys did your country, you did other athletes as part of that delegation proud. Like I felt as a member of the program myself in the past, like I felt sick for you guys of what you were having to deal with, and that women's soccer are always forced to deal with everything outside the pitch. You never have the luxury of just worrying about performance. And with all of the advancements in the game and how the women's game's grown exponentially, you guys were still dealt this shit hand. And so I just felt sick for you guys. And I just thought that you conducted yourselves with such integrity and just showed everybody what being Canadian was all about. So I think hopefully what they can see is that you guys as athletes are able to compartmentalize that and say, you still have to go out there and get it fucking done. Like, you guys, no matter what the tactics are, whatever the plan is in terms of the system that you're playing and what you want to execute, you guys still have to do it on the pitch. You still have to score the goals, right? You still have to win the game. You still have to get results. So hopefully people are able, when they're scrutinizing past performances, they're able to do that, because you guys made all of Canada proud.
In a weird way, it brought Canadian football together. The team did, because everyone felt for you. And the support that I saw and read and heard from Canadian football fans towards this team was compelling. It was great. So yeah, just what Dub said there, congratulations on what was in the end, I don't know, a powerful tournament, I think, in many, many ways, and showed that Canadian soccer, we got something to us back home. There's a culture building here. And Dubs, well done for holding that together, because you were getting pretty emotional through the Olympics.
I was. Yeah, so I can only imagine what it was like for these two incredible athletes here. But thank you so much, you guys, for giving us your time today and for coming on and being candid as usual, as you have been over the course of this entire Olympics and post.
Thank you for having us.